Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so this is it. This is it. Fight week for the third fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I gotta be honest, I wasn't always sure that we were going to get here. After the first fight, I wanted to see a rematch so bad. But after that second fight, I wasn't exactly sure that I wanted to see the third one. Immediately following it up, I thought that it was such an impressive, such a dominant performance by Tyson Fury. I wasn't even sure that Wilder was going to want the fight. But as time progressed, as we've seen these situations unfold, it became increasingly clear to me that we were absolutely going to see this third fight. Then all of a sudden it seemed like we weren't going to. We started to hear the rumors about Fury fighting Anthony Joshua. But then all of a sudden we got the litigation, a little bit more back and forth. Then we threw the postponement in there because of COVID. But now that's it. Here we are, fight week. This is going to be an awesome fight, man. It's not all the time that we get to see something like this. There's so many things that go on in the business side of boxing that keep the best fights from happening, keep the best fights and the best fighters from facing each other. But here we are, we're going to get this third fight, and this is going to be a great one. You know, you think of the build up to this one with Tyson Fury. Absolutely, in my opinion, unquestionably one of the premier fighting men of his generation. Goes out there and kind of in a unheralded fashion. Didn't get a lot of press. Beats Vladimir Klitschko. Longtime king of the division, we'll say. Beats Vladimir Klitschko, gets the belt. And then disappears. We now know about his struggles with depression, anxiety. Blew up in weight to, I think he said over 300 pounds, potential suicide or at least suicidal thoughts. Like that was a dark time for him. 3 years off, comes back. Couple tune-ups and we see him fight Deontay Wilder in their first fight. Now that was an awesome fight. Got to admit, I didn't think it was going to go down that way. I thought Wilder was going to be able to go out there and do what he's done to all of his other opponents in the past. Tyson Fury takes all this time off, and as skilled as he was, you could tell that he was a little bit out of shape. You could tell he looked a little bit soft. You could tell that he wasn't quite the fighter that he used to be. Thought Wilder was going to clip him, put him down with that right hand. Now, he did clip him twice, put him down. I mean, we remember Fury looking like he rose from the dead in that 12th round, the way he came out. But what an awesome fight that was. And then we get the second one. And in that rematch, we saw a lot of differences. First thing you notice, Tyson Fury looked like he was in much better shape. Looked like he was much more fit, much stronger, came in heavier, said that he was going to need that extra weight. It was really going to help him out in the fight. Now, in the build up to that fight, we saw something interesting. We saw Tyson Fury switch trainers. Used to work with Ben Davison, comes over and switches over, works with Sugar Hill Stewart, the nephew of the late great Emmanuel Stewart. In all these interviews going into this fight, he's talking about how I'm going to completely change up my style. Now, we know Tyson Fury is a man who boxes from the outside. Great foot movement, great upper body movement, knows how to mix up his punches well, throws combinations. Really a traditional boxer when you think about it, kind of in every facet of the word. Comes out and in the preview, in the build-up to this second fight says, no, I'm going to do it all different. Everybody thinks I'm going to do what I did in the first fight. I'm going to be a boxer. I'm going to move away from the power. I'm going to stay on the outside. No. I'm switching it up, 360. I'm going to come forward. I'm going to come to the power. Interviewers were laughing. Reporters were joking. Everybody thought that it was gamesmanship and he wasn't really going to do it. And that's because most people don't know about fighting. Most people don't understand that it's actually better to come to the power. When you're boxing on the outside against somebody who's got tremendous power, you have to be perfect 100% of the time. You're staying out of range, you're working ankles, you're getting underneath shots, you're trying to counter. But it's a tough job and you got to do it for 36 minutes. And the vast majority of the time you can't. Even as skilled as Tyson Fury is, we saw him get clipped twice in the first fight and get put down. Got to think the majority of other men wouldn't have got back up from either of those shots, particularly that one in the 12th round. But that's how difficult it is when that's the type of style that you employ against somebody with that type of power. Because you're allowing them to do what they want to do the whole time. The puncher wants to come forward. The puncher wants to keep you on the end of his shots. The puncher wants to be able to set it up and keep that aggression and that momentum going. And you're allowing him to do that. Now, you're trying to make him miss. You're trying to make him pay when he misses. You're trying to get him to overextend, keep him off balance, all those things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the majority of his game plan, he's able to do what he wants to do. He just can't land those shots. Now you switch that up a little bit. Right? We change the dynamic, and instead you come to the power. Try to get inside of it. Well, if I'm inside of it, it's already much less. We just know that you can generate more power when you get somebody on the end of your shots than when they're right in tight. So we already know that even if you're in tight, when the shots do land, they'll land much less. That's number one. But number two, it takes Deontay Wilder completely out of his game plan. He doesn't train to fight inside. He doesn't train to fight going backwards. He trains to fight tall, long, keep people on the end of his shots. That's what his whole career has been about. That's when you've seen all of his most devastating knockouts. Also, in the event that you lose focus for a little bit, in the event that you slip a little bit, you're keeping him off of his game plan. So when those shots land, they're just not as hard. Even if they're in the middle, if he has to move, if he has to reset, it's just not the same as when he's coming forward, building all that momentum, building all that aggression. It was a brilliant game plan. Brilliant. Now, obviously, there's a whole lot of brilliant game plans, but can you go out there and execute? And we saw Tyson Fury go out there and execute. We saw what he was able to do. But it wasn't just about going forward. You know, I've went and I'm back and I've watched that fight a few times. He didn't just, hey, in the first fight, I stayed around, I danced on the outside, moved, slipped. Now I'm going to come forward. And all of a sudden, the fight's completely different. There was a lot more nuance to it than that. There was a lot more subtleties. Look at the difference in the way he threw the jab. That first fight, it was a little more of a rangefinder. That first fight, he was using that jab to score points, measure distance. That second fight, he came behind that power jab. He was coming in hard behind the jab. Wasn't any kind of pitter-patter about it. Everything he did, he was doing with force, aggression, power. Look at the way he committed when he threw that right hand in the second fight. He came in behind the jab and threw the right hand hard. Look at the way that he would lean on Deontay Wilder. Push him up against the ropes, lean on him to tire him out. Look at the way he countered Deontay Wilder's jab. That's one of the things that I found very interesting. When you're coming forward, naturally you would think, I'm putting myself, while I start out, I'm all the way outside. I want to get to all the way inside. In between those 2 points, I have to get in the danger zone. And inside that danger zone is when Wilder's going to be able to land that big right hand. You study Wilder, you see a lot of times he doesn't throw that right hand naked. He sets it up behind the jab. So look at the way Tyson Fury handled that jab in the second fight. He caught it in his glove, but he would also immediately extend his left arm as though he was throwing a jab. He wasn't throwing a jab. He was just putting the arm out there, just extending it. But what it did was it put that left arm and that left shoulder in between Deontay Wilder's right hand and his head. So if Deontay Wilder wanted to follow up that jab with a right hand, it immediately had to come over the top of Tyson Fury's left arm, over the top of his left shoulder to land. It's the little nuances like that. It's those little things that make the difference. It allows Tyson Fury that little extra split second to kind of back up and pull away and roll a lot of the steam off that right hand when Wilder throws it. And those are the small adjustments that he made in between the first fight and the second fight to come out with that victory. So now we sit here at the end of this second fight. They fought about, 19 rounds? 12 the first time, 7 the second. Have to give Tyson Fury about 15 of them. And the second fight just completely dominated the whole thing for the most part. So it would seem pretty clear-cut at this point what we would expect to happen in the third fight. Yeah, Deontay Wilder's got this nuclear bomb of a right hand. Yeah, he's always live all the way up until the 12th round. He can land it and something devastating could happen. But we've seen Tyson Fury put on a masterpiece performance. We've seen him grow and make adjustments as they've fought. We've seen him come out there and basically be able to dominate Deontay Wilder for the last 7 rounds that they've fought. Sounds like kind of a clear-cut case. The book's shut. But we've got one more wrinkle here. We've got one more wrinkle, and that's that Deontay Wilder switched up his trainer. Now, typically, I would look at it and I would say that that's a negative. You're going into this major third fight. You've had one trainer basically your whole career. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to switch it up. You're going to go with this new guy. it's either going to be a negative or it's not really going to make too much of a difference. Guys get advanced in their career. They've been doing things a long way for such a long time. The odds that they're all of a sudden going to be able to learn something new, not really that high. And if they do, how effective can they actually use it? But we've had a little bit of a layoff in between this second and this third fight. So that's allowing him more time to work with that trainer, more time to understand things, more time to get accustomed to these new techniques. And the other thing, it plays in Deontay Wilder's power. He doesn't have to master a whole bunch of new techniques. He doesn't have to go out there and learn how to outbox Tyson Fury for 12 rounds. He could work on a few things. He could make a few changes that just allow him to land that shot. I mean, I guarantee you, you watch these Instagram clips that he puts up, you watch these training films on YouTube that he puts up, he's working on how to hit from the outside, deal with the pressure, circle out, keep distance. That's exactly what you would want him to do. Malik Scott understands Tyson Fury, used to train with him. He's not a dummy. I believe that they're working on the correct things. When you see these training clips, they're working on stuff that looks to be effective. Getting inside, landing a couple shots, trying to get underneath and work out. Trying to slip a jab and counter with a right hand over the top. Things that are a little bit more timing based, things that are a little bit more situational, right? Things that are going to be specific to what they think Tyson Fury is going to be able to do. That's all the right stuff that you want to see. But the question is he going to be able to go out there and execute? Is Deontay Wilder all of a sudden going to be able to go out there and make this big change and beat Tyson Fury? I don't think he does it. I'm going with Tyson Fury in this one. I think he's the superior boxer. I think he's got an incredible amount of confidence after what he did in that last fight. I think he's going to be able to work with Sugar Hill Stewart even longer now, put on a little bit more muscle, get a little bit more secure and comfortable in that new style that he's using. And as good as Deontay Wilder is, man, I think he's going to come out and he's going to look great. And he's going to be most dangerous early on. But he's human. He knows what it felt like when he got outclassed in that last fight. And he knows what it felt like when he got knocked out. First time he ever got dropped. Not the first time he got wobbled. It's not exactly defensively responsible, but it was the first time he got dropped. He knows all those things. And when Tyson Fury comes out and starts landing those shots, like I think he will, when he's able to start backing him up, at first time Wilder tries to roll out to the side and Tyson Fury cuts the ring off on him. I think he's going to go back to what he did, what he's always done. He's going to go back to being that just right-handed slugger. And I think Tyson Fury's got an answer for that. I also think that at this point, Tyson Fury ain't that right hand enough that it doesn't worry him like he used to. You look at that first fight, man, you go back and watch some of the tape, he was kind of herky-jerky, a little bit jittery. There was some nervous energy coming out there. I mean, can you blame him? Deontay Wilder is probably unquestionably the most feared puncher in the history of the sport. And you're stepping in there against the man. You don't know if when he hits you, you're going to get decapitated or if you're going to be able to take it, right? You never know until that time comes. But he's fought 19 rounds with him now. Got dropped twice, got up. Took a lot of shots in the second fight and kept going. I think he feels supremely confident and he's got the skills to back it up. I'm going with Tyson Fury in this one. Super excited we get to see it though. So let me know what you guys think. Is this going to be another win for Tyson Fury? Close the chapter on this one? Or is Deontay Wilder going to come back, make that change under the new trainer, and land that vicious right hand that we all know him for? Let me know what you guys think.